Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of 5 Minute Gaming News, the show that may or may not be 5 minutes. Today in the news, we're officially in the worst timeline. As it was announced, the Embracer Group, the Swedish gaming conglomerate that bought up all sorts of studios, will undergo a major restructuring that will close studios, lay off staff, and cancel games, all thanks to the collapse of an alleged $2 billion development deal. In an open letter to the company's 17,000 staff, CEO Lars Winkfors said Embracer will decrease spending across the board, reduce third-party publishing, and put greater focus on internal IP and increase external funding of large-budget games. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar, Embracer Group was this attempt, at least publicly and publicity-wise, to acquire IP and give them the love and care they deserved so that games of the past, for example, Tomb Raider, that we all loved, could get that chance to shine without Square Enix telling you it sucked every time it sold 5 million copies. Over 120 internal studios, 230 games in development, and a massive stable of 850 IPs. How do they do all that? Well, through the power of acquisition, like I was talking about, with their largest and most recent one being the acquisition of Eidos Montreal, Crystal Dynamics, and Square Enix Montreal from Square Enix last year, which they got on the cheap. And many people, foolishly like myself, thought the acquisition was gonna bring stability. This big company was gonna come in, buy these IP, and give them the love that they deserved. I really thought, hey, finally, a new Deus Ex, we're gonna get Adam Jensen's story finished. But I thought wrong. This restructuring has the potential to be just a devastating event in the games industry. And of course, another in the many examples of acquisitions and mergers actually not being all that great. And a lot of the time ending up in situations like this. Even if your hope is high, at the end of the day, it's really about money and shareholders. I've been saying this for so long. A lot of the big organizations in gaming, a lot of the big publishers aren't about video games anymore. Their job is to make money for shareholders any way possible. And in this case, because the deal didn't go through, they got to find a way to make money somehow and give the shareholders money. And so the best way to do that is to fire people, scrap projects, and just cut down on everything they're doing, which means a lot of the things we were hoping they would do and hoping they bring back, we're never going to see, which is just like I said, I mean, worst timeline shit. In other news, speaking of one company, Xbox Game Studios' Matt Booty went on record saying, hey, Bethesda's upcoming Starfield has the least bugs of any Bethesda game. We have an awful lot of people internally playing Starfield, working with Todd and the team, he told Giant Bomb. I see bug counts, and just by the numbers, if it shipped today, Starfield would already have the fewest bugs of any Bethesda game ever shipped. Which, you know, sounds impressive and could be impressive, and I hope it's impressive. I want Starfield to be great. But, you know, saying it has the least bugs of any Bethesda game is saying, like, you know, it's less than 1 million. I mean, I hope for the best, but since Fallout 76, their last major release, had an infamous amount of bugs and game-breaking glitches, I will withhold judgment. Todd Howard, who never overhypes anything, went on to share, I think Matt said we have every QA person in our entire company playing Starfield right now, looking at bug counts, looking at the quality of where we are. The nice thing about what we showed today, from my perspective, is that was the game. We've been playing the game for quite a while, and that's the game. And yeah, that's one of those things where I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, like, I'm almost positive we'll see something akin to ragdolling dragons or T-posing ghouls, but, you know, in space. The question is, on what level will we see them? A game this big, there's absolutely no way they can get all the bugs, you know what I mean? So we'll see some stuff. The question is, where's this fall on the Bethesda scale of bugs? And if it is as good as they say, great. I would love that, but I'm expecting to run into a few. And while we're here in Microsoft Xbox land, let's get an update on the console war. So, turns out the FTC is asking for a hard block on any Activision Blizzard merger with Xbox. According to The Verge, the timing just weeks before the July 18th deal deadline shows the FTC is concerned Microsoft may be preparing to close its acquisition regardless of the block in the UK. European regulators gave the deal go-ahead last month, so Microsoft could technically close without the UK and without an injunction in the US preventing the deal from closing. This comes just as Microsoft was reportedly considering the extreme option to continue with the acquisition, bypassing the UK order and simply withdrawing Activision from the UK market. So now US courts are deciding whether they should issue a temporary restraining order that restricts Microsoft from closing the deal before and during the FTC's legal challenge on August 2nd. But despite all the roadblocks, Microsoft still seems optimistic that the deal's going to go through. Just this past weekend, Xbox boss Phil Spencer said that Microsoft and Activision Blizzard are still actively seeking ways to help push through their merger deal. Like, I cannot stress how both totally insane and ballsy it is that Microsoft's like, F them kids in the UK, we don't need them. Like, that's where they're at right now, to the point where the FTC is like, wait a minute, y'all don't do that. What? It looks like kind of what we all expected, that it's all gonna come down to the FTC this fall. I'm curious what's gonna happen if the FTC just says, nah, hard pass. Would they just leave the American market? There's no way that would happen. So I imagine we're going to see a lot of pressure, a lot of money spent by Microsoft and Xbox to sort of like grease the gears and make sure it happens. And we will see. We will see in the next 2 months. It's going to be wild because the console war continues. Okay, that's it for me. It's such a stupid goof. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for being a part of this, leaving the comments, liking, subscribing. It just means the world to me. I cannot thank you enough for being a part of this newsy adventure with me. And hey, gonna have some more Gentlemen's Gaming Club coming. If you haven't watched the recent one, it's up on the channel. We got Final Fantasy 16. We got VODs over on Cox Clips. I have so much content. Some might say too much content for you. But hey, I love doing it. And I love being here with you. Thanks again. See y'all tomorrow for another episode of 5 Minute Gaming News.